exciting class, and just want to let you know a little background. I'm a mother and I have 2 sons, and my eldest son was diagnosed with ADD, and his pediatrician had suggested I put him on medication right away. He explained that it would help him with concentration, and that when on the medication, if he displayed any abnormal behavior, that they'd have to lower the dose or change the prescription altogether. And I told the doctor I wasn't really interested in medicating him, and if there was any alternative therapy that he would interest me. And he responded by telling me that if I did not put my son on medication immediately in the future, that he would probably end up in jail. That was our last visit with his pediatrician of 6 years. In essence, medical practitioners revert to prescribing pharmaceuticals over physical activity. The studies are revealing drugs and therapy perspectives reported in the last decade of the 20th century. Antidepressant prescribing increased by between 4 and 10-fold in various age groups and countries. Physical activity has become a neglected intervention for the mental health of children. Physical inactivity is an increasing health problem among adolescents. The U.S. Institute of Medicine claims that during the past 30 to 40 years, probably even longer, the volume and intensity of daily physical activity among our youth has gradually declined. In my claims, first, I will prove how doctors are overprescribing medication to children. My second point proves the benefits of physical activity and how beneficial it is for sleeping patterns. And finally, my third point explains how the brain benefits from physical activity as an alternative intervention. First, I'll prove to you today that doctors' first line of defense is to prescribe medication. Research from the Ohio State University and the University of Missouri evaluated 18.6 million children's doctor's visits for sleep problems. They found that 81% of the visits included a prescription for medication. Researcher Milap C. Nahata comments, "The findings raise concern because of the large number of patients affected." Nahata is a professor and division chairman at the Ohio State's College of Pharmacy and professor of pediatrics and internal medicine at the College of Medicine. Then he went on to add, "We tend to jump on medication right away." The evaluation went on to say doctors are prescribing medications that are not approved by the FDA for the use in children, but did so by prescribing off-label medication, a legal and common practice. I looked at a few of the FDA black box listing the side effects of these medications, which included strange behavior, doing unusual things while still asleep, not remembering the next morning, hallucinations, confusion, drowsiness, nausea, aggression, and agitation, just to name a few. My second point, I will prove that research has been shown that sleep and neurological disorders go hand in hand. In the article, Your Kid's Brain on Exercise, published by Fit Stanford WebMD, stated, kids who exercise regularly fall asleep faster than other kids and also stay asleep longer. The more vigorous the activity, the bigger the sleep benefits. Getting enough sleep lifts moods, improves judgment, and boosts memory. Exercise has tremendous mental benefits, says Dr. Joel Brenner. He's the chair and American Academy of Pediatrics Council on Sports Medicine and Fitness. Studies show that kids who exercise get better grades, have better concentration, and get more restful sleep. Finally, on my third point, on how our brain benefits from physical activity, cellular biologist Bruce Spiegelman and colleagues of Harvard Medical School noted, researchers have found a molecular link between physical activity and a healthy brain. Spiegelman continues to say during a workout, muscle cells increase production of a protein called FNDC5, which is responsible for exercise-induced benefits to the brain. in turn increasing levels of a crucial protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is essential for maintaining healthy neurons and creating new ones, possibly staving off neurological diseases, including Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Moreover, biomed researchers Nan Zhang and colleagues compiled multiple studies and concluded that emerging evidence suggests that active children tend to have better health and cognitive outcomes when compared to their less active peers. In conclusion, I'd like to remind us that medical practitioners default to prescribing harmful prescriptions as a treatment for children's mental health and well-being, neglecting physical activity as an alternative intervention. It's a vicious cycle. Sleeping disorders are linked with mental health problems, such as depression and anxiety, and mental health and well-being are linked to trouble sleeping. Anxiety and depression make insomnia worse. Physical activity has proven to have positive results, reducing anxiety, depression, negative mood, improving sleep, while boosting self-esteem, quality of life, and cognitive function for academic success. Thus, proving physical activity not only has immediate benefits, but long-term benefits as well. Thank you.
It's usually my habit to remind everybody to turn off the sounds on their phones. And it's so frustrating when it's the speaker's phone and the instructor's phones that go off during the speech. Holy criminy. That is so, I'm so sorry, Debbie.
I'm sorry.
I wish I had, I never get messages on, I won't say never, obviously that's not the case. But my phone, I carry it around in my pocket mostly for reassurance. I hardly ever use it. So when it goes off, it's really annoying.
Raise my voice. So
yeah, and I thought you handled it pretty well. You knew that it was going to finish in a minute, so it wasn't that big a deal. Raising your voice is the right sort of thing. It's sad that disruption happened, and I'm sorry that I had a similar kind of disruption. Because as soon as yours went off, I thought to myself, "Oh, I hope I turned my phone sound off." And I said, "Well, fortunately, this is the last speaker, so I probably lucked out." And of course, I didn't. That's the way my luck is going recently. I'm never going to escape these kinds of things. All right. Well. I think we got the spine on this pretty well. I mean, you and I talked quite a bit about getting this together and turning it into a speech, and you kind of seemed like you were uncertain the other day when we were talking. But I think that you cracked the spine here. You found where there's an argument, and you explained what that argument is. I think your proposition ends up being a little less clear at the beginning than it is at the end. But there's a good preview of what the supporting structure is, and I thought you did a really nice job setting up the controversy on this. I'll come back to that in just a minute. On the first point about the doctors defaulting to the use of medication, you've got excellent evidence that you cite here. You've got statistical information that draws that correlation. You've got the testimony of the researcher who acquired some of that statistical information and the warning that person has. So I think you do a good job on that. The information about how physical activity is an effective alternative on this, I think you do a pretty good job developing that and suggesting that there are reasons why it would have long-term benefits. There is some question about why in the long run it hasn't been developed, and some of it may just be that social trends have changed us, but it seems like medical personnel would have a different opinion on those sorts of things. There may be some other explanations as to why doctors default in that particular direction. And then you list what the potential benefits are there. The one thing that I think is missing would be some direct information that applies to the situation like you're describing, kids with ADD or other kinds of attention problems, and some demonstration that the physical activity, when it was used on these kids, altered their behavior or affected them in a way that was positive, that was, that the examples were correlated to the thing that you're talking about. Yours are kind of more generic arguments about what the physical activity is going to do, as opposed to having something that's particular to kids in this situation. The one thing that jumps out immediately as a result of this is, it's a question left over from your introduction. You walked away from your pediatrician because they insisted on this, and they were rather rude in the way they expressed themselves on this. And my question is, so has the physical activity that you've gotten your son involved in made a difference? Or have you gotten your son involved in some physical activity and has it made a difference? That's the thing I think would have tied things together at the end, and also given us that example that applies specifically to the subject that would make everything come together. If you had that and you didn't use it, I want to yell at you. If you didn't have that,
That wasn't.
yeah, if you didn't have that, you know, I can see why maybe you wouldn't include it. But it's like one of those things, like if your own child, you know, you said, you know, so what I've done to address this problem is I've signed him up for soccer, baseball, karate lessons, and swimming lessons. And you know what? He sleeps better, he has fewer problems in school, and things are going better as a consequence, and he's not on any drugs.
Right.
That would really sell that idea at the end. And I don't want you to make something up, obviously, you know, like I said, but like if we had some illustrations of kids who were in that situation and had gotten that kind of treatment, that I think would work it a little bit better. It's nicely delivered, and like I said, I'm glad that you were able to compensate for the distractions. I apologize immensely for my distraction, and your distraction, I thought you handled it reasonably well. I mean, it's loud and clear, everybody's paying attention to it, but what are you going to do? You could either stop and walk over and turn off your phone, or you can keep going. And either one is disruptive, but you did the best, I think, in this under the circumstances. All right, thank you.